Hey y'all, Noons here. Welcome back to Noons Airborne RC. And if it's your first time here, smash that like and subscribe button so you can get notified for future content. And if you're a longtime viewer and subscriber, welcome back. Well, part 2, everybody. We're going to be go ahead and doing the install on the fuel tank. So what we're going to go ahead and need for this is we're going to need our fuselage. But before we get too much into it, let's roll that intro.
Get some!
Alright, so we got our fuselage out the box. Some other things you're going to go ahead and need this is possibly a pen. You will need your fuel tank right here. And you definitely are going to need these guys. I find the thicker one to work a little better. I got the thin one for thin touch-ups. And we're going to go ahead and carve this thing up and fit this tank. So we're going to go ahead and go to the electric Viper because I've already started on one side of this. I'm going to show you guys what we need to do to go ahead and get that tank in there. And then I'm going to show you what I've done so far. Alright, so what we got here, guys, is my red 6S Avanti. You guys seen it in a few videos. So I'm using this right here to go ahead and show you what we're going to go ahead and do. So I'm going to go ahead and get my camera in here, and hopefully y'all can see this. So this plate right here where the ESC is attached to, we're going to leave that. But you see all this foam that's right here? That's what we're going to go ahead and cut out because the tank's going to slip in here. Now the tank is a little wider than this area where it starts to go ahead and flange in. So we're going to start cutting here. We do not need to go all the way to the top. And the tank, there's no reinforcement on this right here. As you can see, the two halves never come together. Even on my other ones, you can see right there. And if you look at your Avanti, you will go ahead and notice that the two halves, they don't meet. So the pressure of the tank is going to go ahead and give this the rigidity that it needs. So all this stuff is going to come out to the floor plate down here. So let's go to the yellow model and I'll show you what I have done already. Alright, and here's the yellow Avanti. And as you can see, I left this side right here completely untouched and stock with that little piece of foam that comes together. And everything's all just original. There's the plate right there that the ESC runs on, but we're going to use that as a backstop for the tank. And right here, see how close I can get it, is where I started cutting. And as you can see, I started up here where it starts to flange on in. And I only went there's about from here to where I started cutting is about a good inch. And I just went ahead and what I did was I took my tank. I'm going to try and do this two-handed. Took my tank and I went to go see where it was started to rub right there. So I marked that with the pen. And same thing on this side. As you can see, I started cutting in until I got to there. So now the tank, if you look at it, slides all the way till it touches this back part, but it will go all the way back once we remove that because the front of this tank should be right about right here. The reason why I say that is our center of gravity is around our spar, which is right there. Right there. And where that plate is to where it's going to stop the tank to the center, it's going to be right on that CG and we're going to be good to go. That's the whole reason why we're cutting out that far. And as you can see, when you cut out this lower part to this floor, you can see, I don't know if I can go ahead and get this angle, but you can see clear through the fuse now. So we're going to go ahead and carve this out some more. And honestly, all I did to carve this was I used one of these blades right here and I started just filleting it up slowly and surely, and I cut this part straight off. There was really no rhyme or reason. Everybody's going to have their own way to do this. If you have like a wood rasp file, I think shaving this down right here would be easier because you would just rasp it down flat versus filleting it. What I do, I don't have a wood rasp, and I'm trying to do this as cheap as possible. So it is, and it's working for me. You can actually see it, and it's not going through. And if you go ahead and you look right through there, you can see my finger. But when that happens right there, the tank will go ahead and close that off. So we're going to go ahead and carve this out a little bit more, and we'll be back when we got it all said and done.
The ground, the sound was flat, his blood went spurting high. His comrades, they were heard to say a hell of a way to die. He lay the rolling ground in the welter of his gore, and he ain't gonna jump no more. Glory, glory, what a hell of a way to die.
All right, I'm all done on both sides, and like I said, you can see on my knife, I just went there and I just started taking a little bit away at a time. And on the bottom, I cut it level all the way around on the bottom. So now that's all said and done, let's go ahead and slip in our tank. Give you guys a close-up view before I go ahead and I button this thing up. So as you can see there, I went from about an inch down all the way to the back to that wood beam. Alright, so here's our tank, and just for an FYI, the thickness of this tank is roughly about 70 millimeters. So plus or minus 5 is going to be your sweet spot. Another thing I was thinking about is you could probably put two 400cc tanks, those ones that look like those little Fiji bottles, one stacked up on top of each other, and you probably won't have to cut anything out, but I wanted one tank. So here's our tank. All the way to the back to that wood panel that the ESC goes on. And now the tank is pushed as far back as we can go. And our CG, I'll go ahead and I'll put my finger. Here is the spar where my finger's at, okay? So as you can see, it's right there in the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and push that to the back. And right there on the tank. I'm right there, so when I fill up this tank, it's going to go ahead and push my CG. Now, I'm not right on the spar. I'm behind the spar because I like to run a little tail heavy. So this thing's going to be perfect. And we're going to go ahead and do a CG comparison. Tank empty, tank ready to fly compared to my EDF, which I know is good. And we'll go ahead and justify what we have to do. But now that we got the tank cut out and installed, the next thing that we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and plumb this tank and get this done. This is the biggest part we got to do here in the front. The rest is just installing, nothing crazy. There's no crafting or anything. So we're going to go ahead and get this tank plumbed, make sure it doesn't leak. And then we're going to go ahead and start working on the back with the thrust tube. But let's go ahead and finish up this tank so we can finish out part 2. Alright, now for the tank part, the stuff that I got laid out that I think I'm going to go ahead and need is I got me a pipe cutter, I got me a 1/8 inch pipe bender right there with some 1/8 inch tube. This right here is the tank that it came with, and this is the hardware it came with. It came with some aluminum tubing. I'm not a big fan, and this red stopper that I'm not too familiar. So I went ahead and I got me tried, tested, and approved one meant for gasoline. It works for kerosene as well. I got it for the 2 to 24 ounce tank since this is a 30 ounce tank. The difference between this one and the other guys is it comes with thicker tubing. It's 5/32. And with this tube right here and this turbine, we're going to be running 4mm hose. There's no reason for me to go ahead and run 6mm hose just to get it neck down before it goes in the pump. And you'll find out more about that later. So we're going to go ahead and get this, and we're going to plumb in our tank. We're going to bend in everything we need, and we'll be right back. All right, there she is, all said and done. I got my felt clunk. I got my fuel tubing. I got my fuel fill, I got my overflow, everything is safety wired. Now let's go ahead and get this inside the tank and get her cinched up. I'll go ahead and leave this right here so you guys can take a good look at it. Alright, let's put her in. And there's our tank, all said and done. Wait, this right here will go to the fuel pump. This right here is our overflow, and this is our fill line. So let's go ahead and see what it looks like in the fuse. All right, she's in the fuse. And that is our finished product, everybody. Right there. Now that we got the tank in, and you can see it's held in by the friction of the foam, I can go ahead and I can pull it out. If I go ahead and pull on it, very easy. And that's the tank installation, y'all. Well, everybody, hopefully you liked the video. Told you the tank was going to go ahead and go in easy, and I didn't have to go ahead and carve out the whole entire bottom of my plane. So go ahead and stay tuned for part 3. We're going to go ahead and get the rear end on this on. We're going to go ahead and put the thrust tube and go ahead and seat the engine. Noon's out.
Get some!